Well, we're
Oh,
going
you
to
don't
help
remember
you.
what's in there?
We had a family that they were it gets me a little emotional because they were upset. They thought they were going to have to leave their house. Well, we were able
Wow.
to uncover. They had a two-story, so they really needed first floor living, but they didn't want to move. Well, we
Right.
found $18,000 in their long-term care policy
No
to do home
way.
renovations. So they
That's
were able to put
amazing.
a ramp, redo a bathroom, then they can stay in their home.
Clean it up.
Okay.
So it's okay. I usually find that recording sooner is better than recording later,
Oh, just so you don't miss stuff?
just so you don't miss stuff.
Sure.
You just never know. So, thank you for doing this.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I
This
appreciate it.
this was the I think we've been scheduling this for a while, right?
Yeah,
Because I
it's
think I had a scheduling issue. I think you had one, right?
yeah, it's been kind of a couple busy few months, so
Well, catch us up. How are things going?
things are good. We had a record month last month, so that's always good. It was finished with a record week at the end of the month, and then started this month with a record week too. So it's always good to have that happening.
And how many years are you at now?
Actually, in 3 days we'll be at 3 years, so we're just at
3 years
3 years.
and 3 days.
We
So,
opened up we opened up three years ago on June 1st, so I guess that's 4 days. But yeah, that's wow, went fast.
that did it go fast?
Some parts fast, some parts slow. You
Some
I
parts
feel like
fast,
the
some parts
world. I feel
slow.
like the world in a small business, the things don't stay the same for very long. At least
They don't, huh?
no. So
So how so let's you were 25, so I mean, we're talking COVID was raging.
yeah, we were on the back end of COVID. It was like the downturn of COVID, and we were just getting into home care. So it was kind of a busy time. It was actually crazy. My wife and I were looking at moving, and we decided we didn't find the house we wanted because that was when the market was crazy. People were offering more than they wanted, more than houses were even worth, paying transfer
Yeah.
taxes, all kinds of stuff like that. Well, we put that on the back burner. Then I talked to Tim about starting an Amada, decided to pull the trigger on Amada, and then we found the house we wanted. So we moved on May 19th of 22, and we opened the business on June 1st. And it was a busy time. I feel like we're finally just starting to catch up now. So, but
And you now you were in medical sales before Amada,
hmm
and I think we found you on LinkedIn, right?
yep, yeah. Tim found me on LinkedIn. I was doing medical sales. Great career. I just wanted to kind of do something for myself. I was part of a couple different acquisitions. We were acquired by a company, and when you're the smaller one getting acquired, they want to tell you that you're lucky to keep your job. You know,
Yeah.
and most of the rumors end up becoming true. Some of them are improvements, some of them aren't improvements. But my territory was changed, our product bag was changed, and so I kind of wanted to put myself in the driver's seat a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. And that had happened apparently more than once, you said. Like two
Yeah, it,
acquisitions.
it happened once, and then I went to another company. Actually did really well at that company, but we were bought and wasn't really a big fan of the new company again. They wanted to keep me, but I left, and then I went to my third medical device company, and it was things were going good, and won a President's Club there, and they were also restructuring, and they were bought by private equity, and so that kind of affected how things were for
Yeah.
us.
Right.
So
Right. I think it, well, I'm speaking to wonderful girl in San Diego, um, who's kind of in that same position. She's like, I, I've had success in layoffs and success in acquisitions and success, and every time I make the company very successful, um, it means that there's going to be a big change. You know, if I'm part of that success. Um, and I think that's so many of our franchise partners are in that same boat, right? Where they've had really cool careers. And what I love about you guys is I don't know that anyone comes to me going, I hated my career. I hated it. I couldn't wait to get out of it. Like you said, it was a good career.
I felt myself lucky. I mean, I have an engineering background. I was a process engineer, quality engineer. I graduated '02 and I had a really expensive degree. And if you remember, '02 was about, what, 6, 8 months after 9/11. So I had a brand new college degree and I was landscaping and bartending. And
Wow.
I'm glad I paid all this money for an engineering degree.
And
And
you had no intention of going into sales?
no, no, not at that point in my career. No, I was actually going to go into medical, or I'm sorry, I was thinking like engineering management and go and get an MBA. But I was still paying off loans at 28 years old. I didn't want to get more. And
Wow.
then I was kind of went through my first corporate issue. My wife and I got engaged on a Friday night. I got let go on a Monday morning. My
No
wife
way.
My wife was also part of a merger on that, and that same week on Friday, she was told that she was going to lose her job. She had a little bit more of a runway of maybe a month or so. But so basically within 7 days of getting engaged, we both lost our jobs. And that's when I transitioned into sales. I looked for an engineering job. This was 08, '09, right when the market crashed again, from the real estate bubble. And I couldn't find a job in my field with that kind of utilized my experience. So, and a buddy of mine worked in at ADP, business to business sales, and I started selling. I got a job there, started selling, got licensed, started selling 401ks. I
No
liked being in
way.
sales, did well, hit President's Club there, and then that's how the medical device. A recruiter found me on LinkedIn for a medical device, and was like, so this is a long way to answer your question, but I kind of was like, I found myself in ERs, ICUs, training
Yeah,
doctors and nurses on how to use medical equipment. It's kind of crazy that my process engineering background paired with some sales experience helped me do
it
that
did
well,
help, huh?
but it was
Yeah, for sure.
not really the road that I thought I was going to take, you know.
Do you think that um do you think that the healthcare experience helped as you opened the Amada business or
Oh,
no?
absolutely. Yeah,
It
absolutely.
did?
Because it gave me an understanding of kind of how hospitals work. I still had to take a crash course because it's a little bit of a mess. I'm sure if you've done this, it's what a senior experiences when they're unfortunately have one of those events that puts them in the hospital to go through hospitalization, and then they're handed a list of 25 rehabs that they're supposed to pick a list of rehabs. By the way, here's 20 names for occupational therapy, physical therapy. Call them and figure out who you want to use. Call home care. So understanding how the patient flow goes and what the life cycle is of a patient when they're hospitalized to then going through the procedure and then to the step down units and then post discharge, what it's like to help them with the recovery process.
You already knew that, or that was something you actually did have to learn?
Some of it was known, some of it was stuff that I had to learn. I had a good foundation from what I did, um, and some of it I had to learn along the way, you know.
Yeah.
Because when I was in
So
medical
we
sales, when I was in medical sales and training, we weren't really dealing with much of the discharge. We were handling in the hospital, and we were in the procedure rooms like the OR suite or IR suite, doing cases there. But then I took that understanding of what happens in the hospital, and then you kind of just keep following it. Okay, so what happens at the step down unit? What happens then with rehab? How are we getting occupational therapy involved? And just kind of following the full life cycle of the patient.
Okay, so this is a good question. I told you this in the beginning, and I still talk about our differentiation strategy. I was actually right before this call, I was on a webinar talking about how I believe that we're still different from a lot of our competitors out there. And it's, the work we do with VA, the work we do with long-term care insurance. Um, and for you, how different are we still? And how many of our competitors are starting to work in long-term care insurance like we are? That's question number one. Number two, does the differentiation, does it still get you into these referral sources? Just how how
Um,
how real is it? How competitive is it? What does it look like? And by the way, for those of you who are listening, you're in Pennsylvania, Bucks County,
yep, Montgomery
right?
and Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Montgomery, Bucks County. So like very what's crazy about Pennsylvania is your zip codes a lot of times are just as impacted with 65 plus as like Florida zip codes. It's the weirdest thing. Like I thought a lot of those folks would snowbird down to Florida, but I mean it's Pennsylvania specifically has a crazy amount of population over 65. Um,
We have a lot. We have a lot of. I mean, Bucks and Montgomery County are two very affluent areas in Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of 55 and up communities. There's a lot of seniors in the area for sure. Especially
yeah,
in Philadelphia. You kind of have Philadelphia and the 5 counties surrounding Philadelphia. We cover in essence two of them. So
yeah.
yeah. So we're
So
we're, we're in a great spot. You were asking me about like how I feel about long-term care insurance and VA. I think a lot of our competitors are out there saying they do what we do, but
mhm,
realistically, what they're doing is they're sending an invoice into long-term care insurance. That's not taking long-term care insurance the way we do it. The way I look at it, the way Amada looks at it, I feel like is when you go to the doctor's office, you don't handle the insurance. You give them your insurance card and that's it.
yeah,
Right?
that's right.
Well, the way
That's
we
right.
handle long-term care insurance is if you come to us, first and foremost, the most important thing is we're going to sit down with you and do a free policy review to make sure you have a full understanding of what your benefits are, that you made the wise decision to invest in long-term care insurance, but that might have been 10, 20, 30 years ago. Well, we're
But
going
you
to
don't
help
remember
you.
what's in there?
We had a family that they were it gets me a little emotional because they were upset. They thought they were going to have to leave their house. Well, we were able
Wow.
to uncover. They had a two-story, so they really needed first floor living, but they didn't want to move. Well, we
Right.
found $18,000 in their long-term care policy
No
to do home
way.
renovations. So they
That's
were able to put
amazing.
a ramp, redo a bathroom, then they can stay in their home. And so little things like that where we dig into the policy to help make sure these people at the long-term care companies that are handling the claims, all they're doing is they're reading off the top sheet on whatever questions to ask, but they're not well versed enough to help what questions to ask, and that's where we're going to help
Yeah.
you navigate the process because you
So
need
all
to
these
know.
families that, yeah, all these families that don't have Amada, that $18,000 would have never been uncovered. There's no way they're going to call the insurance company and be like, "Oh, by the way, on page, 79, you
They're
know,
not sharing that information. I always
no,
tell
of course
people
not."
they're in the business. They're great. They're great. It's a great resource, but they're in the business of collecting premiums. They're not in the business of
That's
paying
right.
claims. It's
That's
our
right.
job to advocate for you, your family members, to make sure you made the investment. We're going to stand by you all the way from claims submission to collections to make sure that we get. I want to help you get more money out than you put in. I want to help you maximize the benefit of that policy. So.
Yeah. And
And
that's such a great story. That's
And,
amazing.
and, the, and the same, I mean, there's countless stories like that. I'm sure other Amada owners have that too. And the same thing goes with the VA. You talk about a guy who served our country. I mean, it took us almost probably a solid 2 years to get approved with the VA. But
Mm,
I wasn't, I don't know if you can tell from my picture, if you're looking at, if you're doing audio, you can't tell, but I'm a big guy. I always tell people I want to be a pilot, but I'm not fitting in any of
that's
the planes.
awesome.
But no, my grandfather was an airplane mechanic. My uncle served in the
Oh,
military,
no way.
and my wife has her brother's still enlisted, and we have 4 uncles on her side in the military. So we didn't serve, but this is our way of serving our nation's veterans is by
Yeah.
making sure, just like someone needs an advocate with long-term care insurance, we're going to advocate for them with the VA, we're not just saying, hey, go to the VA and then tell us what they approve you for. We're walking them through the
Right.
process. We're in their house helping them gather documents, making sure that they're getting the approval that they need. That's how we advocate for them and make sure that they get the benefits that are due to them, you know. And it's not that the VA doesn't want to give it to them. It's just not easy dealing with the VA. You know,
That's right.
it's just there's so many different departments or so many different directions you can go. We can help them navigate that process to get approved, and it's our goal to do that. So,
Man, that's amazing. So, how much of your business now is from referral sources, and how much of your business is kind of lead gen based?
we're probably about 50% from referral sources. And then we just got approved for the VA about 4 months ago, but I'd say we're
Yeah,
probably bringing 2 new clients a week on from the VA as fast as we can get in front of them and help them. We're doing that, and then probably about 40 to 45% long-term care insurance. So
that's amazing. So long-term care insurance has been a, and that's because we're seeing in the country about 36% of our business long-term care insurance nationwide, and so you're higher than that. Do you think VA will end up becoming a big source as well?
yeah, yeah, I think VA's. I think because VA is just newer, I think VA is going to probably be a. I would hope that it's probably going to be about a third. You know, a third of our
Yeah,
revenue. So.
yeah. So, what do you think was the most difficult part of getting started? That first year, the craziness of the first year. What was the hardest part of it all, or parts?
Um, to, I thought it was gonna be harder to find clients. There's the need out there. You know, you've heard the silver tsunami. There's a need out there, and our philosophy is if you treat the clients right, if you're professional, you treat them how they want to be treated, they're going to appreciate your approach and they're going to want to work with you. The hardest part I didn't realize that I was getting into was the staffing part about making
Hmm.
sure we have the staff to cover all those client needs. But our philosophy in our offices is we want to, if we treat our clients, if we treat our caregivers well, if we treat our staff well, then they're going to treat our clients well, which helps strengthen our reputation and our brand. And it's kind of reciprocal after that. So I mean, we offer health insurance, we offer retirement plan, we're trying to offer all those things that we were offered. My wife and I were offered in. She was a pharmaceutical chemist, and I worked in in the medical industry, and we had all those benefits. So we're trying to provide them a workplace that's like that. I know Amada is very proud of a great place to work that we just got awarded again for the fourth year in a row, and we're
Awesome.
proud of
Yeah.
that. We're proud of that here at Amada in Philly too.
So I think it's really cool that you mentioned that. Um, in my calls, so much of the attention is, well, am I going to be able to find the clients? Do people really need this? 30 grand a month for care? Nobody can afford that. And it's interesting how, like you said, so much of it becomes the clients are there. It's really focused on the staffing. So have you been able to overcome that staffing? And I know it's weird because it's not like you ever overcome it because you never stop. You're
Right.
always recruiting, right? You're always hiring. Um, but has it made a difference, I guess, this philosophy of treating your caregivers right, in your ability to hire and retain, um, and how difficult it is still?
Yeah, I'm very proud of a fact. Like our first full year in business, it took us twice as many caregivers as it did to do what we did because of how we improved what we were doing in the office. I don't have the numbers in front of me exactly, but I believe it was somewhere around, we had around 120 caregivers and around 100 clients. Um,
Wow.
and then then the following year we had 107 caregivers and 217 clients. So what that
Wow.
means to me is we're not losing caregivers when a client, unfortunately, sometimes clients outgrow our needs and they might need to go to a community
Sure.
or a facility, or
Sure.
they might be hospitalized. And then when an assignment goes away, what do? Our goal is to keep that caregiver with us, to keep them working with Amada, you know. So, and you
Yeah.
mentioned something about cost. I do think, hey, there is a cost to what we do, but I think most people, and the reason why I chose this was because I'm going to be one of those grumpy old guys that wants to stay in my own home. You know, I'm not going to
Yeah.
want to go, nothing
Yeah.
against the community. Communities are great. Um,
Sure.
I think my mom would love them because she's like, loves all the activities and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I just kind of
Right.
want to be in my home, you know. Um, but if you do a cost comparison of a community living versus at home, I usually think around 10 to 12 hours a day. If you can survive at 10 to 12 hours a day in your home with 10 to 12 hours of support, you're able to stay in your home and age in place safely with dignity at a reasonable cost to where it would be to go somewhere else. That's where that long-term care insurance is so important. I
Yeah.
encourage people to buy it. Make sure you have it. There's different types of products out there. We don't sell it at all, but I do have
Right.
partners that I know that can sell it because I encourage people to make sure that they're insured to help them, give them choices. You know,
For sure.
having $400 a day in-home care coverage for long-term care right now,
It's incredible, right?
it's life changing. It's the difference
Yeah.
between you being institutionalized or being able to choose your own path as to how you want to age. You know, so it's kind of, I mean, it is life changing. And obviously that needs to come with an inflation rider because if you're at 300, 400 a day now, who knows where the economy is going to be and the costs are going to
Yeah.
be 10 years
That's
down the
right.
road, you know.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that's amazing, man. It's been incredible to see you grow, and you've had amazing success in a 3-year period. Um, what do you see for the future?
Um, we see, I don't know if you're looking for like revenue goals or what, but um, we see us almost doubling again this year. We're at a pace where we're close to running double the run rate of what we did last year, and that would be I think we had 40% growth our first full year. We probably had about another 30% last year, and we might actually be at 50, 60% growth this year. So
It's incredible, man. That's incredible.
like I said,
Congratulations.
there's the need out there. It's just a matter of finding. And hey, I can't. We have a lot of great caregivers, a lot of people that go above and beyond that help and will do anything to help their clients within our scope of practice and what we're able to do based on our licensing. But it's amazing to have people like that on our staff, as well as our care team. We call them our care team in our office, but we have 2 kick butt schedulers. We have a recruiter that's always bringing in us great candidates for us to work with. You know, it's a team approach. We need to make sure we're bringing in clients and we're bringing in caregivers that can handle and care for those clients.
It's awesome. Well, Matt Ushler, owner, CEO of Amada Senior Care, Pennsylvania, Montgomery County, Bucks County. Thank you so much, man, for doing this. Thank you for your time and congratulations on your success.
Hey man, I appreciate you having me. Thanks for paving the way, you guys at Amada franchise, and we appreciate the partnership. It's been great, and we have a lot of great things to do going forward too.
All right, man. Thank you so much, everybody. If you want to learn more about Amada Senior Care, you know how to find us. Thank you for joining us for this episode.